Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 2nd Plumpton Board of Selectmen meeting. Thanks for coming. So I think we'll dispense with the ground rules since I think we all know them, but we will start as we usually do with a moment of silence to maybe just gather our thoughts, to have a few moments out of a busy day that are less busy, maybe some time to just be thankful for the opportunity we have to serve the town that we adore so much. So a few moments of silence. So thanks everyone, and again, welcome. I'll mention to begin with that this meeting is being recorded for Cablecast and for YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. And it is to be noted that the video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public record. We're thrilled Area 58 is here doing this. We're thrilled that Plumpton Halifax Express print reporter is here as well. So the agenda has been published. Are there any additional items that anyone would like considered tonight beyond what is already on the agenda? So I guess we dive in. Most of what we have to do is take a look at several of the documents that we're thinking of or beginning to explore as town policy, and we'll get to those in a couple minutes. And I think most of the rest of the meeting is just the reports from various places that reports come. We do have an appointment at 6:30 with a citizen from Forest Street with a concern about that. Apparently she thought it was at 6. We listed it at 6:30. We apologize, but a half hour to watch town government in action. All right. Any comments before we dive in?
No.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
So I guess we can, might as well just go in order. The first one is regionalization and out-of-district transportation costs. I think that was your request.
These were mine. We talked about these in our meeting in Halifax last week. And I would just like for us to send a letter to Halifax to see if they're even interested in talking about regionalization. You know, if this is something that we would like to pursue as a way for us to save money and possibly provide better services to the residents of our town, then, you know, this is something we may want to pursue.
And in fact, I have written to Kingston Selectman, who expressed interest last week, trying to find out when she's most available. I spoke to Tom Milius, Plumpton Selectman, formerly our building inspector, who also expressed interest. I was just trying to get the Kingston Selectman schedule, was then going to invite Tom, was going to invite Charlie Sillig, the town administrator in Halifax. There are a couple of people in Carver, selectman and town administrator, also interested in
Wow.
the conversation.
Okay.
So was going to just sort of see, and was willing to at least get it started, see who would sit down together and what degree we could get something started.
That sounds great. Then I don't think that there's really a need to write a letter if you're already working on it.
I'll get it started. That's a huge project.
It is a huge
and
project.
I'll at least try to get it started and see who would like to have initial conversations, and
Okay.
we can go from there.
All right. Any thoughts on that one, Colleen?
It's sort of a moot thing at this point, but the state is running a statewide conference for municipal officials, and one of the categories is regionalization, and I did register it, but I'm on a waiting list.
Oh,
It has limited space, so,
that's a week from this week?
yeah, it's Thursday the 12th, so if space opens up, I'll be going, and I'll
Great.
find out what they have to say. Otherwise, maybe we can follow up with some,
Sure.
get some information.
Well, I've
from them.
got an interesting tidbit from my Old Colony Planning Council meeting on Wednesday, I think it was, that in the next round of community compact grants, there's going to be a grant for regionalization.
Oh.
And Old Colony Planning Council will provide assistance to the towns in developing plans for regionalization.
Excellent.
Great.
So it's
Great.
kind of interesting that
And, you know, if there's strong interest on your part, I do not have to take the lead in the initial stage.
Doesn't matter, Mark.
And what I don't want to do is I don't want to lead the whole project. But, so, let me just at least get it started. And then,
Absolutely, yeah.
uh,
Yeah, get the ball rolling and we'll see where it leads.
It was the comment at last week's Tri-Town meeting that I mumbled something about it's the only way out of the fiscal mess these towns are in. I thought it was the perfect headline.
Well, it's just,
It didn't
we're
make it.
all in, you know, a tough financial spot, and it just makes sense, especially when some of the towns are very similar, to consider or at least explore it.
And
I don't know if our highway department already does it or not, but I know my sister-in-law works for the highway department out in Brookfield. And they actually coordinate when they're gonna be doing, the roads and everything, so that, you know, they start at one end in one town and they just go right through the whole thing. And
Wow, crazy
so-
talk.
So when they're
So
coming-
doing all
when
of 58 instead?
when the company is coming with the paint, you know, you hire
Yeah.
somebody to do that, they just go through the whole 2 towns, 3 towns,
Yeah.
whatever,
Beautiful.
and,
That makes
you know,
sense.
saves money and
Right.
gets it done.
Gets it done all at one time.
So,
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
possible.
Yeah, I think it is possible, and I believe they do this out in Western Mass,
Yeah,
don't they,
that's what-
Dale?
they're
They
in
do a
Brookfield,
lot
which
of
is
regionalization?
They do quite a bit, yeah. I mean, they have, because they're all fairly, fairly small communities. The major stumbling block in regionalization is the provincial nature of New England. We all love our little towns and our, our little areas here and there, and getting cooperation between governments is difficult, to say the least. We were on the Old Colony Planning Council did must have been 6 or 8 months, 8 towns for regionalization of dispatch for public safety, and I attended a lot of those meetings. And quite frankly, it's a pie fight, and it was difficult. I mean, we ended up, I don't think they ever really got any regionalization out of it, except that we ended up independently of that whole survey, regionalizing with Duxbury to do our dispatch. So it's very, very difficult to do, but it's also very cost effective for certain things. Dispatch being one of them, because they can cover the same area. You can cover all of Halifax and all of Plimpton with the same dollar amount of dispatch that you would, that each town has to pay individually. So it's kind of an interesting thing. They're having their issues with it in certain parts of the state, but the department heads could speak to it much better than I could. That's just been my experience. It was difficult to do. So.
Well, I think the more players you get involved, the harder it is, so.
Yeah.
And some of these towns that we're gonna be talking to are quite different from us and would have different needs, and, maybe we don't regionalize everything, but, we can even pick and choose and, come up with a plan that works for us.
Yeah, and it came up last week that maybe we don't start with, fire or anything like that, we start with IT. Something that isn't actually in place yet.
Right.
And
those
See
are
how it
the
goes.
little ones like that, administrative assistance to some of the boards and commissions and committees, sharing, one person sharing 2 or 3. I think we talked about, particularly sharing a software between 3 towns, the
Right.
same software, so
Yeah.
one person can deal with it. I mean, it is one of those kind of proactive things that when we get through all of this stuff, we can get to it, but I hope we can keep it on the radar. So
Yeah,
we keep
absolutely.
moving
Well, it's
forward.
something that this board has been talking about for a long time. We talked about this, 10 years ago, and I think we were never in a position where anybody wanted to regionalize with us, but now we've got some nice schools, we have some nice facilities, and we have something to bring to the table now where
Well,
they're
and-
interested.
And we've had some success. We did it with Police Dispatch, with Duxbury. We did it with the Tri-Town Studio. And I think just keep plugging away.
Plugging away, yeah,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so
Okay.
that sounds good. So you'll let us know,
Yeah, I'll try
as
to
things shake out.
herd the cats together and at least get it started.
Perfect. All right, and then my second thing was, which we also discussed last week, was out of district transportation costs. And I reached out to Maureen Springer to find out what we are currently paying on average for kids in district to educate them. And it ended up being about the same amount, well, she said it was the same amount as what we're paying to transport kids to out of district. So she said in district was about $13,000 total education and transportation. In transportation alone for kids participating in out of district programs is $13,000. So Christine Healy, who is the Director of Business Services, I reached out to her to see if we are required to pay for transportation. And we are, at this point, required to pay for tuition as well as transportation. So my question is can we get together with the other towns and see if there is a way for us to either allow people who don't need the transportation to waive the transportation costs to save us $13,000 if the kids are driving themselves to school? Or, if it's something that we wanted to look at, reaching out to our state rep to see if there was anything that we could do at that level to at least either reduce or eliminate the transportation. So just throwing those out there.
I was under the impression that if they're not using the transportation, we're not paying for it.
Okay,
But in fact, the more kids that use it, the cheaper it is.
okay.
But
So it could be that it's already, there's like a waive in place
Yeah.
if they're not using it, okay.
Under special ed, we're required to pay for the transportation, the out-of-district transportation. There's a lot of out-of-district placements in special ed, and it all requires specialized
Well,
transportation.
this isn't special ed. This is kids who are going to Bristol Aggie or Norfolk, other vocational programs.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not special ed. This is kids going to vocational programs that we don't offer out of district. And we're required to pay their transportation costs. But I guess that we don't actually pay.
that's what it sounded like to me in last week's meeting.
Okay,
Something to follow up on, I guess.
okay. All right.
So what's the next step?
I don't know. There seemed some interest, particularly from Kingston, about getting a hold of our state rep and seeing if this is something, because I guess they had done this before, to try to eliminate that requirement, but it didn't go anywhere. I don't know if we'd had more luck now, either reducing or eliminating the transportation costs for out-of-district vocational ed. Or if we just want to let it go and it is what it is.
Is it worth checking with the state rep?
Yeah, we could check with the state rep.
You interested in that?
Yeah, I can, that would be Tom Coulter, right? Okay, I can reach out to Tom Coulter and see what he has to think of, or to say about this. I think he was involved last time, so this wouldn't be too new on the horizon for him. So yeah, I'll reach out to Tom Coulter, see what he says.
Great.
Excuse me, you said Kingston was also doing that, or do we want to?
Kingston was involved with it last time.
Okay.
They were working with Tom Coulter, and supposedly they had put together some type of bill or something that went to the State House, but it didn't go anywhere.
Mhm. I mean, we could even regionalize things like this, like one letter signed by
Right.
all the towns.
All the 3 towns in the region, right, working together,
Yeah.
yeah. So, do you want me first to reach out to the other 2 towns and see if their selectmen are interested in this, and then we'll reach out to Tom Coulter? You want me just to go to Tom Coulter first and then see what he says, and then we can reach out to the other towns?
6.5.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably even do it both at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do both.
You know, when we meet to talk about regionalization is when we can talk about these things.
Yeah, right,
And see how we can get some collective
Okay.
bargaining.
all right. So, hold off on letters? We can talk about it when we meet with them? Or do you want me to send a letter to the Board of Selectmen of Kingston and Halifax to see if there's any interest in pursuing, reducing or eliminating
You know-
transportation costs?
Why don't we have that piece? I think it makes sense maybe to touch base with Tom
First?
first.
Okay,
In addition, I have a feeling it's gonna be a little bit to get the other towns
Okay.
together. So maybe just an initial letter, maybe he's got some other ideas on how to
okay.
proceed as well.
I'll call him and I'll just report back next week.
Perfect.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right,
Check and check.
we're good on that?
Good on those.
Okay, the next one's a challenge. So, discuss and possibly vote on some of the town policy documents. I'm not quite sure how to proceed on this. We now have, I think, a hiring policy draft, additions and amendments, two different disciplinary documents, a table of contents, Corey, and alcohol and drug testing. I mean, we have all of those. It occurred to me that one way to move forward, and I'm just throwing out there as a way to start the conversation, is that potentially adopting this addition and amendment policy first, which among other things offers us or gives us the guidance to adopt new policy, but then get it out there for comment for 10 days. And so that if we started with this document, then all the others, as we move it along, we could gather input, hopefully, from other boards, commissions, and individuals. Does that make sense? So I thought maybe starting
makes
there,
sense.
and we might even, I don't know, we had talked last week about reviewing any concerns about these documents and then voting on them next week. Does that seem like?
Well, we can hold that. We can start with this
Yeah,
and then post that and then just start plugging away at the policies.
at the policies, I don't know if we want to tonight, we could, if some of us have major concerns about any of these, just at least raise them for each of us to think about. It's actually a big project.
It is a big project, and the only one that I had that I thought maybe would require input from someone other than us would be this commercial driver's license, alcohol and drug testing policy. But maybe Jim Mulcahy should, because he's got the ones that are driving the vehicles. I don't know if fire actually would need, do they need these too?
Well, I mean, you could extend it to anybody who's driving town-owned vehicles.
But do they need a CDL to operate to drive the fire truck?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Highway, police, fire, ambulance. Also, as Dale just raised, the COA driver and just the drivers of the town car. I mean, obviously, they're not commercial licenses, but have the possibility of
They can
driving
cause
truck.
you just as much trouble
Yeah,
if they have an issue.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I will just say, I'm really concerned about the quagmire that we get into when we start this, and I think, just that part of the discussion brings it up, that, who are we gonna do, who aren't we gonna do, privacy issues, and albeit I want our people to be alcohol and drug-free, I'm just not the hugest fan of a lot of testing. It's just, I start with that prejudice.
Perhaps we can just simplify it and, put a policy in that alcohol and drug abuse is not.
Is it
I mean,
frowned
it's
upon,
it's frowned upon,
discouraged?
yes.
Bad,
Yes,
bad, bad,
Um,
yeah.
And that there are, I don't know, consequences for your job as well as your.
Well, this one is
license.
pretty
It's very extensive.
extensive. So why don't we hold off on this one.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
start with something more, let's start with simple, and maybe we just do one a week and kind of prioritize how you want to do this and plug away at it, because
Yeah.
it's a lot to bite off at one time.
I would, that's a good idea. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by too many at once, so one a week makes sense to me. So you think the additions and amendments is a good one for tonight?
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any concerns about this?
No,
I guess it's actually on the agenda to discuss and vote, so theoretically, we can vote this tonight if we want. And I think it becomes the framework to deal with the rest of it.
Right.
And we would feel like we've accomplished something.
Mhm.
It'll be the first document for our new policy and
Policy manual,
procedures
right.
manual.
just out of curiosity, where did this come from?
That particular one actually is the one that they use in Mendon, and that's the one I had worked under for 4 years, 5 years, and it worked fairly well. It just delineates what goes in, what the process is, and that way there's no question about how things came to be.
Mhm.
So I am willing to make a motion that we adopt the document titled Addition and Amendment of Policies.
Second.
I think Christine's still reading.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so we post this now. Posted for at least a period of 10 days?
10 days for comment. What I'll have them do is a brief cover letter explaining that you're compiling and creating a personnel manual, and
Perfect.
this will be the process for putting things in, and
Great.
and then everyone will know, plus there'll be something posted in the town halls.
Nice.
You'll
Excellent.
yourself write the letter and then pass it on.
Thank you, Dale, very much.
So you'll take care of that?
Yeah, I'll take care of
Excellent.
that. And I mean, in terms of all of this stuff that you're doing, it doesn't mean the process to change it is exactly the same. In other words, if it's not working out or something like that, or you want to change something later on, or, change whatever you voted in, the same process applies. You just say, we're making a change, here's a posting, and please
Yeah,
comment.
no, the transparency is good. I actually particularly like if there are any eager beavers out there that actually look at this stuff, we may tap into some collective wisdom that would be useful along the way. All right, so any preference on which document we attack next week?
No.
Doesn't matter, you can pick, whatever.
I get
We
to
can-
pick?
We can take off the table of,
I get to pick. How about recruitment and hiring?
okay.
Next time.
All right, so recruitment and hiring.
I would just mention that maybe we'll all think about it. My concern with the document is I thought it was fine, but in several places, it talks about, it talks about an official employment application form, which I doubt
Do we even have? I had that same
Uh,
comment.
It talks about pre-employment drug testing that we do not have, and it actually talks about in the new positions, the first sentence is, new positions in the town may only be created by the board. I presume that means the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
What it doesn't say in that paragraph is that the thing get funded as well.
I thought that it did.
Maybe I missed it.
The board may, the new position and assigned classification subject to
Oh.
funding
Beautiful.
the position by town meeting, because I,
Thank you.
yeah,
All
I
right.
had that same thing.
All right, then good, I missed that. All right, so this will be the document we'll look at in more detail and hopefully can advance.
Perfect.
Gosh, what if we accomplish something each week for the
I
next 2
know,
weeks?
that'd be great.
It'd
We'll
be
actually have a
wonderful.
policy manual.
For those in the audience, we haven't had a policy and procedures manual for a long time, and it's actually, when I first came on board 2.5 years ago, out of the nonprofit governance world, it was the first thing I wanted to get done, and of course, we immediately got into the 10 billion things we get into, but we're actually getting this done now. Pleased. All right, almost 6:30, when we have an appointment. I guess the next one, though, we can do the follow-ups on have we made any projects on the list of town email addresses? I think, Dale, you were gonna check out whether they were all needed or not.
Yeah, I have a letter, an email into the fire chief. I haven't heard back from him yet, requesting if that was all, if they were all necessary emails. I know some of his people do work with ambulance billing, and that would require an official address, but I can't see where everybody needs it. At any time, I'm waiting for the answer back on it.
Okay,
Also, you were going to email everyone who has one to see if they were actually using it.
Well, I can tell from the emails that I get that most of them aren't.
Most of them are?
Most of them are not.
Are not,
They're
okay.
still using their regular email addresses.
Mhm.
So,
Um,
again, that's a board policy decision that you will use it for official town, emails, you'll use the town domain name.
Yeah, I think we still have some kinks to iron out before we enforce something like that.
Mm.
Before we make people use it.
Yes.
Here-
Like even
and-
today, I forwarded the, I think it was the financial pages from different towns to Bree to ask her to print them off, and she just got all kinds of messages saying that she couldn't do it, and, what was the other one?
I couldn't even respond to you.
Yeah, she couldn't respond.
to- And I couldn't respond to you. But it was funny, I could take something that Dale had sent, we were just testing, and I'd hit respond, and it would come up like I wanted to respond to his email, but I couldn't do any of it.
Interesting.
And you were doing it through the X-House that, off the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah, I just forwarded your email to her, and then she couldn't work with it.
Mhm. But I got the message from you that said you had received the one that I had sent to you, and.
Yeah, I get all your emails as far as I know.
And then
It
she
was
couldn't
just-
do attachments.
Okay.
She
Yeah, I still can't do attachments.
Is, who can we talk to since,
Well,
I put it on the agenda every week and we're having trouble moving
Initially, I
forward.
talked to Mike about it, and he was under the assumption that the problems were probably coming up because some people may have still been using XP, which is not supported by Microsoft anymore, and so on and so forth. He wasn't sure exactly, how it was set up for Outlook. But I think the next question to him is, what do we have to do to fix it? That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. And it may not be his fix because it's an outside service that we use. It may be their fix, but if he tells me that, then we can go there. But I think we'll ratchet this up and take it to the next.
We've had this, this just keeps coming up and we get nowhere, and I know that can happen with software and hardware, but we're just stuck. So please see if he's the right guy to move forward.
He
Dale,
will
can I-
set- He
oh,
will
I'm
set
sorry,
us
go
in the
ahead.
right direction, yes.
Is our email associated with the website, or is this an outside entity that is providing the email?
Well, they're both handled differently. The website is hosted by the company that provides it for us on their servers. The email is hosted, it's a separate company, but they both obviously have access. They're using our domain name, which is, Plimpton, town.plimpton.edu.us.
Okay.
But there may be, again, so they're really two different entities. It's just and a fair amount of the email, I'm assuming, comes through our server here, but it also, that seems to be the disconnect when you go outside and try it on the web, that it's going through their server, not through our server here. We don't have our own email server. You've heard a lot about having your own personal email server lately. We don't
Mhm.
have that.
Okay.
It's a service that's what we pay for. Is someone else hosting it, keeping track of it, and documenting it, and backing it up in case we ever need to go back and get older copies of emails. So I will sit down with Mike on this, and it may not be Mike, but he's certainly the first person to approach to find out, okay, if this isn't working, we've got to change direction here.
Good.
Good plan.
Good, okay. So look at that, it's 6:30. So we have a citizen here this evening who requested some time with us concerning town land upkeep,
Yes, sir.
okay?
I'm not very good with words. I'm very strong at blurting into conversation, so I've written something now. I can either read it, or I can pass it to you and you read it, whatever.
Why don't
We
you,
have a couple of pictures.
since it is an open meeting, why don't you go ahead and read it? And
Okay.
could you give us your name and address, please?
Elsie Magida, 3 Forest Street here in Plimpton. I've been a resident for 58 years up until this year.
Mm.
So if I could read. And I'm nervous. As a longtime concerned resident of Plimpton from June 1956 to 2014, which is 58 years, and now soon to return as a continued citizen of Plimpton, there's a nagging, gnawing problem to be confronted again or still. The concern is the corner of Forest and Oak Streets. There's a stone wall surrounding on 2 sides on Forest and Oak, and that is the very concern. My concern is for the school bus run, not personally for me, but for the school bus. For years, when my 6 youngsters rode the bus, it came from Silver Lake High School to Forest Street to Oak Street, and then on to Lake Street towards the elementary school. A few years ago, long after my children had left home to have their families, I noticed the bus coming along Oak Street from Grove Street to under the bridge, and then going on to Lake Street again towards the school. My concern is that at times, like even now, this time of the year especially, the bus driver cannot see the traffic traveling along Forest Street due to the heavy growth of bushes and so forth on the corner. And I have seen the bus stop to look down Forest Street to see if there's any traffic coming, to be sure of safety for the children. However, I have never seen the highway department there to clear it, ever. And I've been there 58 years. They do mow the coarse grass along the edge. A few weeks ago, they mowed about 2 feet of grass. That's maybe 2 feet around the corner. And they do clear some of the high overhung growth on Oak Street. But they've never come in and cut the brush down on the corner. And there's a good 6 feet from the stone wall to the road that is town property. Now, over the years, I have been doing that. Back in 1956, when I first moved there, Forest Street was a dirt road, and it had 5 houses on it. Today, I don't know how many houses are on it now. But I was 24 years old, and I had 5 children, and I was expecting number 6. My dream then was to live there, raise my family, and die there. Well, I've been there 58 years. We cleared the land and the entire corner, from the driveway to Oak Street, down to where the new driveway at 137 Oak Street is, was all garden. No trees, nothing. It was garden from right to the corner. And I grew the garden to accommodate my growing children. And so there's never been much growth along Oak Street until the last few years. In fact, the corner of Oak Street to the junction of Forest Street and Lake Street, when I first moved here, was an apple orchard. It was Marvatine Acres. I don't know if any of you remember that. It was all from the corner, right down to Lake Street and Forest was all Marvatine Acres. I think there might have been 1 or 2 houses there, but it was mostly apple orchard. Of course, now there's more homes and there's more children to ride the bus. And as a concerned citizen, I've tried many years to keep the corner clear because of the school bus situation. There was never a problem with seeing down Forest Street all the years that I had a garden, but, you know, my family are grown now and they're out of they're raising their families and they're out of the area. So my problem is, where's the highway department been for clearing that corner? They've never done it, and my question is why? You know, it might be the north end of town, but it's still an important part of the town, and I wanna still live there. And I've been out there clearing it. I have pictures. And I'm almost 84 years old, and I don't think that I should have to be out there trying to clear the corner for the school bus concern. Not for me, because I've had my children. I had 7 children. Probably 25 or 30 kids were in the yard all the time, because I was home all the time. But I would be very concerned, and I think the town would be very concerned, if a speeder were to come down Forest Street and ram that school bus, and some children were to get hurt, it'd be hell to pay in the neighborhood. I know I would have a few words to say. And there's a lot more families on Forest Street now, there's a lot more children, some of these families have had children, they still have children. There's some young families that are just having children. They're gonna be riding that school bus too, and I think their concern is the same as mine. And since I've been building a new house there, or having a new house built there, quite a few of the residents on Forest Street have approached and said, we're glad to have you back in town. And they have kids too, so they know what the problem is. And hopefully, maybe the highway department will show as great a concern for my part of town as it does for the rest of the town. I'm not asking for anything that I don't have to have or need. I'm just thinking of the kids, since I've had a big family of my own. And I have 54 great-grandchildren, and I have a yard full of kids over the years for a long, long time. God help it, if a car comes around that corner fast and a stone gets thrown, there would be hell to pay in the neighborhood. And I'm telling you, like it is, because I live there.
So you're talking about your side of the street on Forest
I'm talking
Street?
about the town side of the street, that's where I've been clearing
The
out.
town being the opposite side of you, of your house?
I can show you if you let me.
Please.
This is the corner. This is Forest Street, this is Oak Street. This is where I started to clear it. If you come up to the corner and you look down Forest Street, I've already cleared that stone wall. There's what, 400 feet? I've cleared it, no trees, nothing. A few years ago, I had 38 trees cut down. The town didn't want the trees, they had no use for them. I had to pay to have them cut down. And I said, as long as I live there, there'd never be another tree to grow on the street side of Forest.
So forgive me for being dense here, but this is Forest Street.
I have to look at it this way. This is Forest Street. This
Right.
is Oak Street.
Your house is
My house
over
is up here,
So
yes.
this is your side of the street.
This is my side of the street. This
Right.
is town property from here to the corner.
You're
And this is where the
sure
bus
that-
driver cannot see.
You're sure that from the stone wall to the street is town and not
That's
yours?
what I'm told.
By?
Everybody. Town property, the town owns the property from the stone wall to the middle of the road. That's what I've been told for years.
Well, it's probably, I haven't checked the title on it, it's probably what they call a prescriptive street. And that's a street that's established over the years just because that's where people go. And so there's a prescriptive right-of-way over it. But in real estate law, if there's not a plan, if there's not a taking for the street to create a public way or anything like that, then the abutters, people who abut that street, own to the middle of the street, not the town. The town doesn't own any of that street if it's a prescriptive road.
And I don't understand what you're saying. I've just been told over the years, I thought I paid taxes on that land, but I've been told over the years, oh, no, the town owns that part of this.
Well, the town has a
owns
certain responsibility
from-
for the right-of-way, in other words, to maintain the right-of-way at a distance from the center line, and that's very true. But on a prescriptive street,
I don't understand what you say, prescriptives. I
in a street
I
that
was
was
a
established
homemaker, I had
with-
children, I stayed at home, I wasn't
in-
into town politics.
in a street that was established with people walking on it, and then wagons on it, and horses on it, and then cars, that's called a prescriptive street.
Okay.
And unless you have a specific plan that ends you at the street or whatever, a specific plan, then the people who abut that street, that right of way, actually own to the middle of the street.
So you're telling me because I'm clearing that, I own it?
No, we don't know who
No,
owns it. We
no,
don't
I mean,
know
the
at this
town is
point.
certainly
This is what-
responsible
this
for
is what-
clearing, I'm sure that Jimmy Mulcahy will work all this out, but, the town will obviously, maintain what they have to
But they
maintain
don't.
for vision.
But I'm saying they don't. They have never.
Well-
In the 58 years cleared that corner.
And it
Never.
could be because it isn't actually town property.
Then you're telling me that. If that's the case, then it's my
We need to
property.
get a clarification on
Yes,
this.
yes.
Absolutely.
And we will sort it out.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. We'll get
because
this
it
sorted
isn't
out for
the
you.
concern for me, it's the concern for the kids. The stone wall was always the stopping point when my children were small. You are not allowed beyond that stone wall. That's town property. It's dangerous. I don't want you, I've got to have enough yard for the kids to play in without having to go past.
Absolutely.
But
But they
if you
run
had-
along the stone wall, and there was just a good 6 feet between there and the road itself.
If
But
you
that
had
was a
your
dirt road
druthers,
when I first moved there.
okay? If you had your druthers, if it were cleared from the stone wall to the road, you'd be
I would
content.
be very, very happy, and I'm very, very happy. Very.
I think he could just drive down with a machine and
Yeah.
just take all that stuff out. It's just,
A few weeks ago, I stopped the town truck because I was out in the driveway. I don't know who the young man was. I don't know the people much because I mind my own business. And I asked him, I said, is it possible that you could clear the corner? He just looked at me like I had rocks in my head. And I said, did you hear me? Could you clear that corner? Oh, well, we try to clear it once a year. Once a year, he drove off.
Well,
Yeah.
look,
I mean, that's no kind of an answer.
we
We'll
don't-
reach out to Jim.
We don't want to get into a big thing on
No,
who
and I
owns
don't
it.
either, but the theory is,
Okay,
if some kids were to be hurt on that bus because the speeders, my theory years ago when Forest Street got paved was it's going to become a speedway from the high school. And that's exactly what it is. And so isn't Grove Street. I can hear them. I can hear them coming down from the high school, and I can hear them speeding down both roads because that's what's happened. So, if the school bus can't see the traffic coming Forest Street,
yeah.
you know, it could be tragic, and I wouldn't want one of my kids to be involved in that. And I'm sure everybody else on Forest Street feels the same way.
could I ask you to write down your phone number for me?
I don't have a phone. I have a Plymouth phone number now, but
Okay, or
I haven't got my phone hooked up back at the house.
how can
yet.
we reach you? Don't,
Okay.
you don't have to say it on camera. You
That's
write
okay.
down any way for
Any-
us to
anywhere?
communicate with you.
If I
Yes.
can remember
Can
it.
we keep these pictures for now so we can show these to Jim?
You may.
Absolutely. We'll get these back to you, but thank you.
All right, I'm glad to talk to Jim and see if we
Yeah,
can get this
absolutely.
sorted out.
I'm nervous. But I think that's correct. I'd have to talk.
These guys are much gentler
Terrific.
than they look.
I think we'll have them.
I'm much tougher than I thought.
If you'd like this, you may have it.
Absolutely. We'd love that.
Okay, it may take us a little bit,
That's
but,
fine. You know, I've been
we-
out there clearing, so I've got maybe
All
10 or
right.
12 more feet to clear and the corner will be cleared. My
then you don't
wish,
need us.
my wish is, oh, I shouldn't be saying this, but I figure if she's gonna do it, let her.
No, no.
And
Yeah.
if they will clear it, but clear it year-round, not just once a year.
Right.
Once a year is not enough.
To the degree that we are capable of making
Right.
this happen.
So when the
we'll
school
make
bus
it-
comes down, she doesn't have to stop
Okay.
and say, there's no traffic coming up Forest Street. That's a danger,
Okay.
a big danger.
We will definitely work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
And
All if I didn't create a-
Appreciate
No,
the history, too.
absolutely.
Because I am a person that does speak up, as you can see.
There's nothing
We
wrong with
appreciate
that.
it.
Thank you.
We get bored up here otherwise.
Have a good night. Thank you for coming
Oh,
in.
Coffee. Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
That was good, and we'll get on it.
Get an answer from that
Um,
one.
Okay, where are we? Solar
yeah.
updates.
Did we get a contract yet?
I should have the paperwork this week. They said they're working on it. They're gonna send it, they're gonna forward it this week. I mean, it's all in the works as far as, you know, where it goes, but they, I forget what entities, anyway, he promised it to me this week, so you should have it next week.
And when you speak to him, would you ask him when the host fee is coming in as well?
Okay, yeah, I'll ask him. I don't remember what time, when it came in last year, but yeah. I will definitely do that.
That takes care of solar.
Okay. Anything else? On solar?
No, not solar, no.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't get it. Okay, that's all right.
Did you get the spreadsheet that was emailed?
The what?
The spreadsheet that was emailed?
Yeah, I said, do you have the spreadsheet? And she said, I emailed it to you. I said, well, I never got it. So, you know, the one we go through to,
You know, the one that
See
I
if we're
put
on
on that
track?
paper and
Right.
I
Alright,
condensed
yeah.
it to, I have a
You
sheet
know,
for each of you.
I don't have
You
it
you
this week
updated
either.
from last
I
week
updated, yes,
and,
because I updated
No.
with my information.
Okay.
And then Christine sent me one. I sent that to my, updated from that.
okay,
And then the
okay,
ones again.
no worries. Well, Colleen, what's happening with Public Safety Building Committee?
we met last Wednesday. The engineer was unable to come after all, so we had a little conversation and basically the engineer, we put in an extra meeting. We're meeting again this week. So anybody who's interested, 6 o'clock Wednesday night in this room, Public Safety Building. There is gonna be a presentation by the engineer to, on keeping it on this campus, this location. And there'll be discussion and questions, and we'll see where we go from there.
Excellent.
This Wednesday night?
This
day after
Wednesday,
tomorrow?
the 4th, yes,
Okay.
day after tomorrow.
All right, and from
6.
memory,
Why don't I go in and print it?
sure.
And then print it, because I
Yeah.
have the one that I sent you.
Well, then we had all the policies that were on there, which we are starting to plug away on those. The community compact, sign that 11/19. The financial policies, or no, financial tasks from, that the DOR committee was working on with Barbara Gomez and Colleen Moran, those are pretty much done. So we do have some left, but I think that they'll probably be worked out in the community compact. So I think that we'll have all of that squared away. Trying to think, email was on there, which we're working on. We had what else was on there?
Let me interject here a little bit. Dale had sent out an email with attachments of financial policies from different towns.
Yes,
Is that following under your
That
purview?
is going to
Working with
be.
Barbara and Colleen and,
That, the financial policies, we were gonna do those as, in the DOR committee,
Mhm.
but now we're gonna establish financial policies with the community compact.
okay.
So we'll be looking at those, but the consultants will be helping us with the financial policies. So they'll come up with something and then I'll bring it
Okay.
back to
Okay.
this board.
Good.
So we'll be working on that with them. Still have not heard back from the consultant on a cost estimate as part of the grant. I have to give them an estimate of what the consultant thinks it's gonna cost us to develop these policies, and I still haven't heard back. They did wanna see the DOR report so that they had a good understanding of what our needs were, so they have a copy of that. So just waiting to hear back on that. I think those were the big things. The cable was ongoing, and that won't be until the special town meeting where we have the article for that, it's not a revolving fund, is it? It's an enterprise fund, right?
It's
An
gonna
enterprise
change.
fund?
Actually, I'm gonna write to, before the holidays start and then we get into town meeting season, I'm gonna write to Lauren Goldberg, who's
Mhm.
our counsel on that, probably next week, and just see if we can get that done.
Okay. Yeah, and those were the big things. There
So,
were some tasks, the 5-year fixed cost. You think you'll have that soon with
Yeah,
Barbara
that's part of
Gomez?
what I was gonna give you in the report. I have all of the sheets and the spreadsheets available and sort of putting it together now. And again, I mean, 5 years out is a tough look, but we can make some estimates, so.
Yeah, that's perfect. Just, something to plan with. That would be awesome. Thank you, Dale. I know that's a lot of work, and I appreciate you.
Well, I got the finance committee sent me their spreadsheet, the one that they use for their budget every
Mhm.
year, which has a lot of past years in it. So there's a lot of information. That saved a tremendous amount of time from reinventing the wheel and having to create a whole new spreadsheet
Right.
for this. We'll just modify that one and go forward from
Awesome.
there. And the accountant gave me all of the revenue numbers and revenue projections, so we should be able to come up with something.
Terrific.
So maybe we should pause a minute since Bree is taking minutes and isn't
Oh,
here.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe, Dale, could you grab her? If she doesn't have that, we can
It's-
just forego that
Right,
this
well,
week.
we'll do it next week, it's no
So
big deal.
that we can just move on.
One thing we did need to do on that was decide that there's gonna be two people with the Corey access that Bree is working on. So did we want Dale to be the second person? Because there was talk about you doing it, Mark. You were gonna be the second person named to do Corey checks.
I'm going to do it if that's what we want to do. I think it could be Dale. It would be fine. I think
Okay.
maybe that's at that level of staff
I
support.
would leave it at that position, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it'll be Dale and Bree then, right, that have
Okay.
access to the Corey?
But
Okay.
let's hold on a minute, and she's coming back?
Yeah, she's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
I told
Just so it can get into correspondence.
Absolutely.
I mean, so it can get into the minutes.
Can I do a little report that really doesn't need to be in the minutes?
Okay?
Okay. I went to the DOT meeting on Thursday, and they are soliciting comments from residents as to whatever, your transportation needs are. And they have a interactive website. It's at mass.gov/massdot/capital conversations, and you can log in and share whatever your transportation needs are, and it covers bike paths, pedestrian, rail, train, aviation. So, I mean, they really are opening it up. The only thing is, they're closing this down Thursday, November 5th. So time is somewhat limited. So if residents want to go on and share what their concerns are with transportation investments in the region, these are going to be incorporated into their, I think it's a 5-year plan that they're working on. So that's,
Okay. So let's just go back to the previous thing, so it
okay,
gets in the
oh,
minutes.
here we go.
Um,
Okay.
So that, and really the Corey thing is we agreed that the second Corey representative would be town coordinator,
Right,
along with selectman assistant, right?
right.
All right.
Okay, so
Okay.
I will set that up, and Chris from Council of Aging contacted me because she needs one done for, somebody that was
Big
appointed
Barbara,
for Barbara.
yeah.
I don't know if I have to get this approved from you. This is the one that Silver Lake uses. And I can just redo it, put it on our letterhead. That we have to have something that they sign to agree to let.
Oh, absolutely,
do
that's
the Cory
actually,
check.
yeah, in the Corey policy that we had, that there was a sign off.
So I would just reword it and scan that and put us in there and put it
Yeah,
on
just
our
put town of
letterhead.
Plimpton, at the top. And until we have our own, I'm sure that this would be
Yeah, is there anything that,
suitable.
This is also the one that Chris said that she uses for her childcare.
Okay,
Mhm.
Big Pied Piper, all right.
Okay. You all right?
Mm-hmm.
You okay?
does this say anything specific to children? Just because ours is a little broader, to.
Actually, the wordage here, it starts out, the Silver Lake Regional School District of Massachusetts are registered. I don't know.
Well, I thought if you could get rid of this top part and maybe do it as a prospective or current employees, would you like to read this one? I have
What
another
did
one.
the one we got from council say? Corey policy, fire,
It's just permission for-
Am I gonna have to dive into the
This is from-
archives as well here?
This This would be a good one.
It's very
Just-
simple,
I mean,
just-
this is the one they're using in Silver Lake, which covers all the bases.
Mm-hmm.
It would just have
All
to
right, but
be a
this is the
matter
one
of
town
modifying.
council gave us. I think
Right.
we should use the one town council gave us, God forbid there's something
Sure,
wrong.
they paid their lawyers a lot for this one as well.
I don't have that.
And that one would just need to be on our,
Yeah.
letterhead.
Yes, is that all right? My suggestion would be we
Yes,
use
it's
the one
simpler.
town council gave us. It is easier. We know that's the right one. May I hand this piece of paper to her?
Sure.
All right, so that's the one we'd like to use. This one is for your files, and,
I'll give it to you electronically.
Okay,
You
so I
have
could
one?
scan
Yeah,
it.
I
Okay.
can, because we
Yeah,
can put it on later.
yeah.
okay.
So then you don't want any of this?
No, just that with our letterhead. It's just basically a sign off that they are, signing off on us doing the Cory check.
Okay.
Okay on that then? You have a
Are they
digital
gonna
one?
supply their,
Is the difference that the school one actually gets the information from the person that you need to do the Cory check, whereas the one from the lawyer just says they understand they're getting the Cory check?
Yeah, and then you would ask them for the information, which is basically your name and social security
Right,
number is all
and
it
then
is.
an ID,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to. make sure
We'll
you
just
get an
add that
ID.
on the bottom or
My
something.
guess is, Mark, that
can we use
they
the
have more
bottom?
expensive lawyers than we do. They've charged them a lot more money.
Yeah, I mean, you can use that as a guide, but they
just.
just have to sign off on that.
They can sign off on this.
And then you can get their information, like if you have to check the documents, verified license or whatever, kind of use that as a guide. But
Okay.
we'll just
And they
use,
don't have to sign this at all?
nope, they wouldn't
Okay.
have to sign that, they would need to sign that one.
Okay. Are you okay with maybe if I just took this bottom half of this and made like a second page to that? That's what I'm, can I copy their license and keep that here?
Why
I
don't we
don't
see
know.
this?
That's a, where are you keeping their license and their information? That would have to be in a locked
It's
file.
gonna have to be in a locked file.
Yes.
Everything will have to be in a locked file.
You have to create a personnel file. That's one thing we have to do.
Oh, this asks for a whole bunch more information that we don't really need. Mother's full maiden name, father's full
Because I
maiden name.
believe, I don't know when you, I haven't filled out a query in the system to send it into them.
Okay.
To see, I'm gonna have to look at their, I had to set ourselves up first
Okay.
on who they wanted. And they're asking me that
Education,
information just for us.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Okay.
I put in to have someone's query done, do I
Let's,
have to
why don't we
supply
hold
them
this?
that?
Let's hold this till next week. She's just gonna have to wait.
Right, I'll register us and then I'll
Yeah.
see what
Register us,
information they need
find out
from
what
the
you
person.
need, and then we'll
Okay.
talk about it next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
And what?
yeah.
You want me to hold on to that though? And then I'll
Yeah.
see,
Perfect.
and you'll send me that.
Yep, I'll send you that. Perfect. We'll come up with
They
something.
were very helpful.
Okay, so we covered everything. Job descriptions. There you go. Those are the ones that I have. Dale was gonna work on a
Wow.
list of what was still outstanding. Any idea what's still
There are
outstanding?
some. I mean, there are some. There are some general ones that, I mean, administrative assistance, sort of
Okay.
general, that covers a lot of ground. And so
Okay.
there are some specific ones that we probably could use.
All right.
I'll give you a list
Perfect.
today.
That sounds great. All right, 59 Parsonage Road, no update there. Still waiting to hear back from the USDA.
there actually was a document today, it came this afternoon, I haven't had a chance to read it
Ooh.
yet. I will forward it to you, we can put it on the agenda for next week.
Perfect.
One of the bottom lines is they have some funding for putting a fence around the burned out barn and for boarding up the trailers. And unfortunately, the real bottom line is they don't have any funding for the Phase 2 environmental study, which is the dead stop roadblock that we've been confronting all along. But honestly, I just skimmed it. I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay, no worries.
We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Something we may want to consider at some point is, with all this personnel stuff, we need to have somebody in-house be an HR person. You know, wage and personnel is not really that.
Yeah, I would think that,
Yeah.
you know, part of this is really kind of firming up what Dale does.
In small
And I would
towns,
think he
generally
would
falls to
be,
your coordinator or your
Yeah.
administrator.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's just something that was,
That's where these came from.
I'm begging for work. No, I mean, that's generally who
Yeah.
has oversight for it,
Right.
and it's delegated out, some of it, the health insurance parts of it, that's in different places, and, so on and so forth. One thing we do need to establish, though, that we really should do fairly soon is establish a locked personnel file, and everyone gets a file in the personnel file, whether it contains their application, or, citations, or letters of reprimand, or whatever it happens to be.
Or
But
recommendation.
all of that should be in their work history and everything else, and then a policy on how you access that. But it's pretty simple, you can access it anytime you want, as long as you give somebody some notice, and you can come in and read what's in your own file. But that way there, it's a repository for all this, Cory checks, applications, everything, pay scales, contracts, if that's part of it. In addition, the town accountant has contracts, but that makes it easy, it's all in one place, and that is usually, it's usually a locked file cabinet, and the key to that's usually held by the selectman's assistant or the secretary for the board, because, you're actually ultimately in charge of all of the employees in town.
Do we have a lock file cabinet between the two of you that we can use?
Not really at this point that I know of.
but we do have a lock on that closet in Bree's office.
We could, you could use that as long as that office remains locked, then, that closet remains locked, you could easily use one file in there and then build a,
Because that actually is one of the problems with all those documents we're looking at, is it frequently names someone and it isn't clear who it is, and we have to figure that out. So if we know there's space in that locked room that can become the HR files,
We can make room.
okay?
okay, and then the policy of who has access, which should be only,
But do you want that kind of like this? Do you want that cabinet locked also?
well, if the closet's locked, you don't have to do it. We could get a dedicated file cabinet for that as well. It only has to be some sort of true drawer affair that's lockable.
Lobby still?
And we may be able to find one in-house.
So
if not,
for
they're
the,
not
for the
huge
moment,
expensive.
though, we have a locked door. and
Right.
Why don't we
Right.
just start with that? And actually, this would be a document that will go into our human resources
Thank you.
file.
Perfect.
Thank you for the gift.
You're
You
welcome.
bet.
Gift that
Okay.
keeps on giving. Okay, town-owned land, I think that we said we were gonna try to do an executive session on 12/1, I believe, if memory serves me, just to look at the properties that had been taken by tax title and kind of just get a plan together.
12-1, executive session, town-owned land.
Yeah, I think, is that a Monday? Is 12/1 a Monday?
12-1 is not a Monday, but
Okay.
11:30 is.
Okay, do you wanna do 11:30 then?
Okay.
Do you wanna do that at like 5:30?
Yep.
Okay,
An executive session,
an executive session.
under what?
Council said that we needed to look at this, that we needed to do this in executive session. And I think it's because it's the disposition of real estate, or there's something in executive.
Yeah, if you're planning on selling or moving,
Yeah.
foreclosing.
Purchase negotiation.
Yeah, purchase negotiation, yeah. All right, let's, blah, 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 gather job, just working on that. Complete evaluation of Center Street property, perk test application sent. Is that done?
Dale, did you hear back from the engineers on the perk test for Center Street?
No, I haven't, except that it did pass, I don't have the specifics.
You don't have the report, but you have the,
But it did pass, it actually passed with flying colors. Their problem was keeping enough water in the hole, because of course it's really all a sandy bottom there, so it really drained out.
Okay.
It passed with flying colors, no problem there.
Okay.
And when are you doing that executive session?
11:30.
11:30,
Evening, ahead of your meeting?
5:30, yeah.
Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
right before
I
the
just
meeting.
wanted-
Okay, then we have acquire amended engineering study of Palmer Street site, is that
That's what
done?
we
That's
talked
coming
about.
in this week.
They-
That's what
Okay, so
happens
that's
Wednesday.
coming in, you had what, like an 11/28 deadline you were hoping to have that by, but it's coming in earlier?
No,
they're-
oh,
they're
was
right.
it? Did we have 11:20 on that?
Yeah, I think we had 11/28 on that, but,
Yeah, that's the engineers coming in tomorrow to
Oh,
present.
terrific.
Or
Okay.
not tomorrow, this Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, okay. All right, Corey Light certification, you guys are working on that. It's gonna be the two of you, and you're working with Tara and Dale on that updated contact list,
Mhm.
right, for the website?
We have it, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's everything on the
Okay,
sheet.
so, board goals and priorities, the tax sheet, the public safety buildings, you had your say on that?
I believe so.
DOR report had dealt with that. Government vacancies we're good on. I think we're up to town coordinator.
Okay.
Report.
I have a couple of things. Well, the first is that, actually, I was gonna talk about the projection, but she had already asked me about the 5-year projection. That's in the works, and hopefully we'll have that very soon. The other thing I have here, this happened this morning, and it's addressed to me only because I signed it for Jimmy Mulcahy. Jimmy Mulcahy did all the work on this. But from the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development in Boston, we were notified today that the 2015 MassWorks Infrastructure Program funding round has selected Plimpton for a $390,000 grant
Wow.
to do road work.
Sweet.
And
Yay.
Jimmy put all of that together and did a great job. And-
Yay.
And it sounds like a lot of money, but he did say today, in terms of paving roads, you don't get a lot for 390,000, but it's a really big help for the town. And so anyway, that was Jim's thing. And the other thing that I have, and again, this is just a little background on this. This is a donation to the library. And this same person has donated every year since I've been here. But this year, the donation is 50% more than it has been in past years. And this is the thank you letter plus the letter for her taxability on the donation. And, we need the signatures of the board, but you're more than welcome to read what's there. But
This
it's
is
very,
an
very
anonymous
generous.
gift, right?
But it's anonymous, she just
Right.
does not want.
That's awfully nice.
Yeah.
So we are
Very
very,
generous.
very appreciative to that generosity and the increased generosity. It's,
Plimpton has an outstanding library, and when you consider the size of the town, it's like outstanding on steroids. It's really, really good. They do a great job over there.
Yeah, with a very small budget.
Yes, very small budget.
Since we're signing something, do we have warrants to sign?
Yeah, I think those are still in the office. I saw those earlier.
all right. Anything else on
No,
your
that's it for me
docket?
for time being, for this meeting anyway.
Correspondence.
All
Our
right.
correspondent is up.
We wanted to start off with follow-up from last week. I touched base with Frank Bush about the letter that he wrote to us, and this is gonna entail a lot more work than was anticipated. And he suggested that we reached out to the Council on Aging to try to gather some information. So I don't know if we would like to give her this letter and see if this is something they would like to pursue, or I just hold on to it.
So, when you told us last week, it sounded like he already had
He didn't
people-
have any specifics. I asked for the number of people that I said, in order for us to come up with a plan, we need to know how many people and animals are we talking about here? And he said, he didn't have that information. So,
So what flagged it for him? mean,
I don't know. There was nothing
Okay.
specific.
Well, I just blurted out. I mean, I appreciate his concern on this, and I think we want to be helpful for people. I'm not sure we should, with limited resources of all of
Well,
us.
that's it. I just hate to
Um,
make more work for someone
Right,
else.
and Council on Aging is pretty stressed out. There are rabies clinics in surrounding towns. I know it's a little bit of a deal, but not too much of a deal. I'm not sure there's anything real substantial here.
Okay.
Maybe just a word to Chris saying, if she can be aware if there are people that have this need, Like I said, I'd be willing to drive somebody and their dog or whatever, that there are people that will help.
Well, and maybe she could just be aware or looking for these clinics so that she can disseminate that information to the seniors.
Yeah.
And then we can use the COA car to get them to the clinics.
Yeah,
Or I stand by, alternatively, I am glad to offer at no financial benefit to myself, if there are real hardship situation, I potentially can go out and get a vaccine into a dog. That's not for everybody out there, but just
Okay,
in
so we
hardship
do want to
situations.
reach out to Chris then.
Maybe just mentioning
mention.
that we're
Yeah.
aware of it, that we want to see if we can be helpful without getting into a big formal program.
How about if I put a letter together and I'll show it to you guys, or we can talk about it next week and then send it off to Chris?
Perfect.
Okay, all right. And then I also heard on, because I had asked about Bill Hayes, he did, was tree warden of the year in 2011. You can only be tree warden of the year once, so unfortunately, he cannot be.
Oh, now, aren't you gonna put in there your email communication about 1 and 1? She wrote letting us know that,
Yeah, it
Mr.
said
Hayes.
one and done.
Yeah, had 1, and done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
O-N-E, W-O-N-D-O-N-E, yeah,
Okay.
okay. All right, so that was that. In the correspondence, this is the, I think this is the spreadsheet that they're working on. Yeah, is
contacts.
that what the contacts is that you guys are working on with Tara? That looks
Yes.
like it.
Yes.
Okay, and she was gonna try to put that in a friendlier format for the website, and she said she was gonna work on that tomorrow if she had time during the
Wow,
elections.
this is great.
But there's
It-
a lot of really good
It
information on
has
there.
all the information about whether people have done the open meeting law, fulfilled open meeting law policy,
Mhm.
conflict of interest policy, the quiz that's given, the sexual harassment policy. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the master list, and then what goes on the website will just be the contact information, the first portion of it, none of the rest of that will go on the website.
So this is
She did a good job.
Tara's work and
Tara,
Bree.
that was Tara and Kristen before me, and then, so I'm learning it, and
Beautiful.
she showed me where it is. and
Great.
we-
This-
I
this-
can add things and she can see it, so we've updated some names, but
Well,
that's
and
really-
it'll make it so much easier for
Miss Tara.
appointment
Yeah.
slips and,
This is great. Nice work.
Tara.
Nice work, people that did
yeah,
this.
very good. Okay, from the Plimpton Public Library, they are having a special salute to our veterans at 11 a.m. on Saturday, November 7th, from 10:30 a.m. until noontime. And that would be a nice thing to maybe get on the website, or they've got a nice little flyer.
I am supposed to be out of town. If by chance that changes, I would stop in. Did you say they wanted a selectman to say something?
Dale did, I believe.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes,
possible.
just a few words on it,
I will try. It's very possible I can't do it, unless one of you are around and
I'm sorry,
excited.
what do they want somebody to say?
Um,
Oh, salute to the veterans?
Salute to
Yeah.
the veterans.
Yes, I will make every effort to go. I'll just have to put it in here.
Well, and you know, this might, I don't know if Roxanne knows about it, but we should probably make her aware of it as well.
Actually, Bree, could you write to Roxanne and if she doesn't know about this, just in case she's interested? Do you think you can make it? If I'm not out of town, I will try to be in touch with you and offer to go instead.
Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, from Columbia Gas, they are requesting permission for a road cut to install a new gas service on 3 Forest Street. Got a dig safe number, looks like it's gonna be 4 by 6 by 25 feet. So they're looking for us to approve this, and then it would be, go to Jim Mulcahy.
Which is actually the address of the nice lady that was here
Right.
earlier in the evening. So I make a motion that we approve this excavation request.
Pending Jim Mulcahy's
Yes, or
Highway.
actually, do we have to sign somewhere?
I think we have to put a letter together,
Yeah,
don't
just
we?
to vote on it, and then you can give it back, and
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll just make copies of it, notify Jimmy
Okay.
and the chief, so that, because it looks like that's gonna be a cut right across the road, which means it'll require police detail as well.
All right, so I make a motion, we approve this road cut pending Jim Mulcahy's approval.
Perfect.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll let you
All
guys
right.
get a letter together on that.
All right, Dear Plimpton Selectmen, Resource Controls is requesting the town's permission to install 2 monitoring wells near the sidewalk at 264 Main Street. The purpose of the wells is to collect groundwater samples related to the gasoline release.
Yeah, make some copies.
Let's see, they've got release tracking number. We installed.
We've done this a couple
Yeah.
times.
Okay, have we? Okay.
We have done it a couple times. They did come in once. We were very specific in asking that they don't mess up town lawn and all that. They
Okay.
were equally reassuring that they will not. And to date, I think they've been right on target
Yeah.
with that. So I'd be glad to make an motion to approve this request for monitoring wells on the sidewalk at 264 Main Street.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll pass this, or let's see, is there anything to sign here?
Didn't look like it. Looked like just 3 copies of the plan.
Yeah. Okay. So we can pass this back and this, we
That's been
can
approved as
send a
well.
letter to them that we've approved it? Thank you.
Okay, from Xfinity, installation rates. Looks like they are raising the rates by, looks like most of them are small. I mean, there's a dollar for an upgrade, 5 cents for a downgrade. Yeah, so they charge you to downgrade, okay. And 10 cents more if they have to go into your home. 5 more for field collection charge, just a little bit there, and there's gonna be some channel changes as well. Looks like these are mostly HD channels. Yeah, so I don't know if we wanna post this.
If you are a customer, you get notification.
Oh, do
Yeah,
ya?
they know
Okay,
anyway, so-
all right, all right. All right, from the Plymouth County Extension 4-H Youth Development Program, this is a copy of our annual report as well as the assessment for fiscal year 2015, 2016. They are requesting $500 for booklets, manuals, fact sheets, volunteer expense, programs, and leader expenses. So we would need to, what, put that in the budget, $500? That's how it usually goes, isn't it? Don't we vote that in the budget?
I have no idea.
I remember it coming up last year, but I don't remember
I think it's in the budget.
what happened about it.
Copy of the annual report.
And here's the annual report.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give this to Bree, and I'm gonna ask her to contact them for an electronic copy, rather than trying to put this in that annual report. So you're gonna wanna get an electronic copy of this, because you do the annual town report.
You can scan it as a PDF.
Yeah, you can scan it as a PDF, but if she's got it
She's
electronically,
doing it in Word anyway, so.
yeah,
It's
Alright.
getting
you
done.
can just put it in.
Gosh, I just don't remember this in the past. Do you remember
I'm
this?
sorry, what is it?
$500 for the Plymouth County Extension Youth Development Program?
What?
Probably putting this into
Mhm.
the report.
I just,
I think the number sounds high, but I
It's
remember,
$500.
I remember we changed it several years ago. It was a standalone line item, and it came under selectmen's expense after that. I
Did
think
it?
that's county extension, but I'm not sure if it's the same one.
Yeah, I don't have the budget on me, son of a gun.
I guess we need to, I think we need to research this a little
Get a
bit.
clarification? Okay.
Could you explore this with town accountant or treasurer and just see if we've done this in the past? I don't remember this over the last 3 years.
Let's see.
And I don't remember it, I definitely don't remember it as a line item.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Give them just anonymous comments.
Animal inspector, fire chief, police, veterans. Oh, you're right, I don't see it as a standalone
I don't,
line
It's included in the current budget. The last 2 years, I think it was included
in the selectmen's
in
budget?
the selectmen's budget as just a line, but I thought it was like $120, so we may be talking
Okay.
about two different things.
well, could you explore if we've done that? We did
I
that
will
in
check
previous
on
years,
this.
please.
Yes, I will go to the wizard of numbers.
County
named
Extension.
Barbara,
There it
and
is right
She knows
there.
everything but everything.
It's
you need to know.
line
Yeah.
120.
Look
and
at
it-
that.
And it has been, last, it was 125,
Well, that
was
was
the last one we,
2012.
right, we haven't funded anything for the
That-
last couple years.
That almost feels like a request rather than a bill. Unless we moved out of, I mean, it was its own line, unless we moved it into something else.
Okay.
Well, town
Do you wanna
accountant
check?
will check. on
Okay, so it was line 120 under general government.
it. Okay.
Okay, notice of hearing, planning board, townhouse, Monday, 11/9 next week at 7:30 PM. To consider the application of Borrego Solar for relief from zoning bylaws, section 6.10.5.2A regarding vegetative buffers for proposed solar facility at 31 Winnetoxet Road. And we have a copy of the hearing notice that was in the Plimpton Halifax Express as well.
Okay.
Okay. And that is that. We already talked about regionalization in the paper. And there's an article about the Kingston Police Station, and I think there's gonna be more to come on that. And that was, oh, and then just nice picture of a backyard wedding for town clerk Tara. Some really nice pictures, so.
Who did the photos on that? Well done.
Yeah, the photos are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Does it say who did the photos?
Tara gave them to me, so
Oh, maybe she had a photographer,
they're
because they
not
are,
professionals. I think they were
Just
mostly
friends?
hers and friends.
oh, beautiful,
Nicely done.
very nice. Okay, so that's it.
Okay. All right. Back to, let's see, these things go that way. Wow, we're up to dates to remember. Next selectmen's meeting, Monday, 11/9, 16, 23, and 30. I was gonna throw out there, this will jinx us, but the possibility that maybe we consider taking a Monday off in November just to regroup, and that there's a lot of work we're doing outside the meeting.
Well, do you want to take 11:30 off? That's the day we were gonna do the tax, because that's right after Thanksgiving.
My preference would actually be the 23rd, since I'm leaving for Virginia on the 24th.
Well,
Perfect.
then why don't we do the 23rd?
All right, so we're gonna leave out the 23rd, knowing that stuff might come up, and will you remember, should I let the studio know as well? Okay, I'll let them know. We'll tentatively, we'll skip the 23rd. We will look forward to the holidays in December at the end. We take a couple weeks off then. and
Okay.
That'll be a good chance to regroup and ready to fire into the 3 months up to town meeting warrant. All right, so that date, next meetings of the Public Safety Building, the 4th and the 18th. Folks, we're getting to that place that things are down on paper. It's a great time with people with opinions and expertise to come on in and help the committee with that. We have minutes. And I will just mention the computer's been giving Bree heartburn along the way, and we appreciate her patience. And darn it, computer, be nice to this woman. So first of all, though, we have the executive session from 10:26. Yeah, we were all there. Any changes or?
No, I had no problems with it.
All right, so I make a motion, the executive session minutes of 10:26 be approved as presented.
Add the
Second.
1019.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then last minutes for tonight, which we got today. Did everyone have a chance to read these? 19th?
The
Mhm.
19th.
Did you have a chance to look at them?
Yes, but I wasn't there, so.
Okay, then we'll ignore you, sorry.
I do have editing, even though I wasn't there.
I would expect nothing less.
I suppose you can make, can you make?
She can make
Make
suggestions.
suggestions, you just can't vote. All right, you had something?
I had just naming the two members, and it
Okay.
was Eric Aberdeen and Pat Ciamarella.
Okay,
And then you had a capitalization, right, for
I
planning
did.
council?
So maybe you can put those two on there.
Planning council.
You have anything on page 1?
Well, I'm having printing issues, so I don't know where page 1 actually
Oh.
is for you.
Okay, then we're up to.
Under solar, it said
Solar,
Ms.
okay.
Thompson is in attendance, and
All right, so you're the keeper of the words
Okay.
here? Is
We're
not
here
in
with me.
attendance.
This is not in attendance today, okay. Is not in attendance today, okay?
It's an interesting phraseology, but it's expressive.
that's it,
Okay.
that's fine.
I
Wow.
didn't have anything else,
I didn't either, that was good.
so well done. I make a motion the minutes of 10/19 be accepted as amended.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention?
Yep.
Okay. Darn, we have run out of things to do.
Just since we're on minutes, when you prepare the agenda for next week,
Yes?
would you add the Board of Selectmen at the Public Safety Building Committee minutes for 10/7, 10/28? And hopefully I'll get this week's in too. You can put on the
10/7,
11/4.
10/28, 11/4,
Yeah.
public safety.
And if we don't have them all, then we won't do them, but,
I will do it,
okay.
okay?
So this was actually 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have last week, so
Okay,
that, we'll
okay.
need that too.
Okay.
All right, any last words from anyone?
Can I, yeah, I got a couple last words. Can Bree send a letter to Finance Committee asking them to recommend 2 members for the Community Compact? And when Eric and Pat were here talking about the Old Colony Planning Council grants, they mentioned that there would be money available for generators. Remember that?
I do.
Do we want to send a letter to police, fire, highway, maybe even the Dennett to see if they're in the need of a generator and look at pursuing some grant money? I don't know if it had to be, like a place that people would go in the event of an emergency, but we would still need to operate fire and highway and police. I mean, maybe not highway, but police and fire. And the Dennett is our designated,
Well, usually we're using here.
oh, are we?
And if not here, Silver Lake.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we would definitely need a generator for the police department here then to run the heat in
We
this
have-
building. Do we have one?
We don't have one for the new department, a new building if it's built, but we have one here
Okay,
that
so
covers
we-
this whole building.
Okay, so we do have one
And the
here.
reason they don't do Dennett is because that is not big enough to accommodate all of their electrical needs, so they can't open that as a warming shelter because
Gotcha.
I don't believe it heats the entire building. It only operates on part of it.
Okay.
But
Does the fire department have a
fire
generator?
department has a generator.
Okay, so we may not need one then.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, if we can get a grant to put this on the new buildings,
If it's available, but
Yeah.
if it's a required shelter, none of the new buildings would actually be a
that's
shelter.
true.
It's
Well,
this-
do you want me to look
it's this
into it to
building.
see if it's a
Sure.
required
Yeah.
shelter? And if it's not, then maybe
Or
we
if-
could look into
if
it
it's
for a
just
new
public
building.
safety, then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And maybe, I don't know if Jimmy has one. Does he have a generator down there?
you know, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I think he
Okay.
may, but I don't know, but I know that currently everybody has one.
Okay.
Other than, I mean, to put one in a Dennett big enough to run the entire HVAC system there would be very, very expensive. It would be nice to get a grant if we did it, and you could make that the warming shelter, but currently, this is the warming shelter. And I don't know if you remember the storm, what was it, 2 years ago, when the power was out in town for like 4 days or 5 days? This was opened as a warming shelter.
Yeah.
And in saying a very kind thing about the residents of the town of Plimpton, 5 people showed up to charge their cell phones.
Yeah.
People from Plimpton are very independent, and I mean, they had no heat, and no water, because there's no water in town. I was absolutely amazed. 5 people showed up to charge their cell phones, and that was
That
it.
is
But we were open as a
crazy.
warming shelter for the whole period
Okay.
of time.
All
Yeah,
right.
the extension of that is the last time we were out of power, it might have been the same one. I have a generator, and when friends came to the house, you could see them hit the door, appreciate the heat, but then was this thing, do I take a shower first after 4 days, or do I do my device first? And invariably, I went for the device first before the
Oh
shower.
my gosh, that
Um,
was crazy.
Okay, well,
Okay, so I'll look into that.
thank you.
I'll report back.
So no back from me.
Yes, could you write a letter to the finance committee asking them to recommend 2 members to the community compact committee? Thank you.
So we will be back next week. We appreciate those showing the interest to watch this along the way, and much appreciation to everyone around the table. So thanks, everyone, and make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay!
Good